Some people may be thinking where I am right now is heaven. Well, you'd be wrong. This is the true home of Koenigsegg in England. Welcome to Super Vettura. So people often ask me, why Koenigsegg? Why did you choose Koenigsegg? And so for the first time, I'd like to explain to you guys the story of how I came across Koenigsegg. Now, many years ago, as a young kid, I was at an auction in London, in Olympia, and I remember seeing this crazy looking spaceship of a car with a massive gear stick. And I remember walking around it as a kid, and this man took his time out and he showed me around this. I mean, obviously I was just a little kid. There was no reason for him to take his time out of his day, but instead he opened it up, let me sit in it, even let me start it, and I remember him getting in trouble for starting it in the auction. Now, that guy took his time out of his day to be able to show a little kid and share the passion of what then turned out to be a Koenigsegg CCX. Jump 10 years forwards, 20 years forwards even, and what happens? I go to Geneva Motor Show and I meet a man called Tommy Wareham. Tommy Wareham runs a company called Super Vettura, and suddenly we clicked. I remembered that this man was the man that took his time out of his day to show me around that CCX. We got to talking, and now we have had two Koenigseggs, well over £4 million worth of cars, and some people could say, oh well, there's business there, but actually it was simply the fact that he took the time out of his day to share some passion, and now we're here surrounded by these crazy, amazing machines. But luckily we've got Tommy here to sit down and answer some questions that I know the answer to, but I want you guys to know as well. So without further ado, meet Tommy Wareham.
Hello, sexy man. How did I get into cars, Zach? I was born into cars. My father ran a business for motorsport and classic cars, so when I was very young, him and the chap he ran it with, Ian, I grew up around 250 short wheelbase Ferraris, GTOs, McLaren F1s, Cow Spiders. It was crazy, but I think that passion then sort of lived inside me. But my father, he didn't want me to go into cars, so I had to go off to university. I studied computer science, and I tried desperately to be a bit geeky, but I couldn't do it. So I quit that whole life, and I went and washed cars for Volvo in Basingstoke for £3.50 an hour, and that was it. That's how I started my career in cars. I don't necessarily remember my first multi-million-pound car sale, but I do remember the first big car I sold, which was a Koenigsegg CCX. And I remember that I sold it to a chap who was taking delivery at that time of the Bugatti Veyron one day, a Pagani Zonda, and then the Koenigsegg. And he part exchanged with me at the time a Pagani Zonda C12, which I think we gave like £170,000 for, which is crazy. I wish we still had that car. And lots of other little cars, and it was just this crazy deal that the dealership I worked for at the time had never seen. It was normally cash only, or one car against one car, and here I was making this deal with 5 or 6 cars all together, crazy vehicles. It was amazing, and since then we've always done crazy multi-car deals, and just great, just great. How did Super Vettura start? Well, it was in the recession in 2010, and I could see the writing was very much on the wall at the dealership I was working at for supercars and sales like that. So we decided to leave, Paul and myself. Paul, who employed me originally from the car washing job to be a salesman at Volvo, and took me to Broughton's. And we left. We had a small sabbatical in London, which didn't work out. And we're sat around Paul's kitchen table, and Paul just says, let's do this. Let's just do it on our own. And I, at the time, had a 1-month-old baby, my first baby. And, you know, we had no money. I couldn't really afford the mortgage on my house anymore because I just left my job. And we took 10,000 quid that I think we cobbled together, and we had some great customers who came with us, and they just bought cars just to help us out, and those customers are very well remembered now. And that's it. That's how we started, from a tiny room, you know, which was kind of given to us by a friend in the trade who now actually works for us, and it's just evolved from there. We just chipped away, chipped away, chipped away, and now, you know, we're the biggest Koenigsegg dealer in the world. It's amazing. It's crazy. Why Koenigsegg? So when I was younger, before I went to sell Koenigsegg's, I started selling Koenigsegg's when I was 23. I'm now 41, so that's a long time ago. I saw Koenigsegg on Top Gear, and it was the one with the Stig, with the wing, and I just fell in love with it. And I'd grown up around cars anyway, so I already loved cars. But nothing really stood out for me because I wasn't normalised in cars, because I was used to seeing so many cool things. And Koenigsegg was just crazy. And I took that on with Broughton's when they wanted to set up a supercar department. And then when we set up Super Vettura, I always remember this telephone call. We're in this tiny office, and Christian von Koenigsegg calls me, and he says, "Tommy, I hear you've left Broughton's and you know you set up on your own, and I want to come with you." I said, "Christian, you do not want to come with us. You don't want me to be your dealer." I said, "You're with Broughton's. They have a lovely showroom. They have loads of money. They have an established dealer network." I said, "We have nothing. We don't really know what we're doing. You know, we're just trying to make a living here." And he said, "Tommy, it's not the dealership, it's not the building, it's not the money, it's the people that sell these cars." And he was obviously right. And you know, that was a great call, that really was. And I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased he took the risk with us, and so pleased we just stuck with it. And Koenigsegg is our family, it's our blood and our passion, and has been for almost 20 years. Do I remember the first time I drove a Koenigsegg? I certainly do. I remember two key moments of driving Koenigseggs. The first time, which is always unforgettable whenever you do anything for the first time, and that was just mind-blowing, terrifying and mind-blowing. But the one that really set it apart was when I first drove an Agera, and we just delivered it to a very good customer who was on, at that time, his 4th Koenigsegg, which when Agera came out, that man had been with us from the beginning. And the difference and changeover from CCX, from supercharged to turbocharged, it was like driving a space shuttle. It's cemented in my mind now. I still remember the moment I stepped on the throttle and just that thing exploded with raw, aggressive power. It was insane, insane. What do I think to people taking pictures of the car, young people, enthusiastic? I think it's fantastic, always have done, and I've always encouraged it. I was that kid walking around the car shows, taking pictures, you know, loving just every detail of the car and being really into it. And, you know, we open up the doors of Super Vettura to the car spotters. We go around the country, we use the cars, we encourage, you know, when the cars are at my house, people come in the driveway and do videos just because it's so cool and so nice. And I have one great story where there was this young lad who I met. He must have been in his late teens, and he came into the showroom regularly, all the time, to take pictures and videos, and would chat for hours, and all he wanted to be was a car salesman. And I always said to him, do not become a car salesman. It's such hard work, and it's so hard. A bit like my dad used to tell me, do not become a car salesman. And he ignored me. I said, if you become a car salesman, I'm going to find out where you're working, I'm going to get you fired. It's going to happen. And fast forward all these years now, and we're still very, very good friends. And he's a car salesman, and he sells luxury cars, Aston Martins, and he is fantastic. And he's still so enthusiastic about it. And it all stemmed from being just let in and shown around the cars and just loving it. Just really, it's so cool to see that enthusiasm carry through. Cars are a thing that I think once it's in your blood, you're done for. Where would I like to see our company in 10 years? Well, this year is a very big year for Koenigsegg. It's a big year for the factory. They're opening their new Jumeirah factory, which is a massive expansion for them, and they're pushing forward a rate of knots. It's quite incredible to have seen this company grow from when I first was there, 20 employees probably, and now way over 700-800 employees. So we've been growing alongside them, not at the same pace, luckily. For us, we have the new showroom being built this year. We've got the new workshop being built, which will replace this place behind us. And we're also opening a second dealership in the West Country. So short term, that's going to be where our business is going. There'll probably be other Koenigsegg dealers in the UK, and we welcome that competition. And it's much needed. We've been doing it on our own for a long time. And where do we want to be? I don't know, maybe we'll open a dealership abroad. I've always fancied something in Europe, and Paul and I have discussed that. Sell more Koenigsegg's, bring more people into the family, and just have a lot of fun doing it. I think that's our 10-year plan. What advice would I give to somebody who wants to start a business or a motor business? It's not an easy business. It's a lot of hard work. You know, Paul and I and James and George and everybody else who's worked with us and for us, we've all worked 7 days a week for a very long time. You know, Paul and I, we lost marriages through it, we've had children, we've grown families, we've met new partners. I met my new partner through Koenigsegg, so we really are a Koenigsegg family. You have to make it your life. If you want to be successful in any business, whether it is motor trade or anything, you have to give up your life to do it. And hopefully and eventually you'll get to a point where there is a turning point and you can reap those rewards. But the first 10 years it's hard, it's graft, and that's all it is. If you're willing to work hard and commit everything to it, you'll do absolutely fine no matter what it is you're doing.
Awesome. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's okay?
Yeah, that was...
Whew, there we go.